Why they ain't teaching the word? I don't care about him.
You can leave, bro.
All right, man.
Come over to the house, feel like you gotta get put out.
We back on Esther 9. We back popping.
Bro, who say you can tap that milk, bro?
These nuts.
Huh? You ain't put in on that, player. Don't leave, bro.
I want to read start at Esther 9 again because I've been paused. The people who was on there got to sit back and wait for it. I hate to see it, but I'm rolling regardless. Esther chapter 9.
It's promising that. I think it's other milk.
Yeah. Titty milk. Cow titty. Niggas say you're not lactose intolerant. You're not a baby cow. Nevertheless, and now in the 12th month, that is in the month Adar, on the 13th day of the same, which the king's, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put into execution, and the day that the enemies of the Yahudym hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary that the Yahudym had rule over them that hated them. Since I said that, before we even proceed any further, this man sat back and he made a statement. He said that this is the day that they hoped for, that they would have power over the Yahudym. In the book of Obadiah, this is what it said, the enemy, it might have been the book of Ezekiel. They say, aha, this is the day that we have waited for. See, your enemies have waited for the day where they could have rule and power over authority over you. And they got that rule and power of authority over you because you did not give strict heed and attention to this man's word. You did not watch. You did not pray. Therefore, he called these people to heathen to get above you, that they should be the head and you should be the tail, and that you should go to them in hunger, thirst, and nakedness and want of all things. But even as they were sitting back plotting to take you out, before we go anywhere further, let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 30, and let's look at what this law says. Yo, this dude, shout out.
I'm upset about that bread, man.
Ooh.
You don't feel something about it.
You about to kick somebody out.
Who drank my apple juice? Get out.
You about to kick somebody out.
Deuteronomy chapter 30.
You know what? You'll come back tomorrow.
And verse 3. Make it 1. Were they in captivity in Medes and Persia at this time? I would say they were. In Esther chapter 9. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, thou shalt call them to mind among the nations, whither Yahuah the Elohim have driven thee. And shall return unto Yahuah the Elohim, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul. That then the Yahuah the Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahuah the Elohim have scattered thee. And if any of thine be driven unto the outermost part of Shamahim, from thence will Yahuah the Elohim gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And Yahuah the Elohim will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. And Yahuah the Elohim will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love Yahuah the Elohim with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou may live. And Yahuah the Elohim will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Now you notice that they persecuting them. Basically, he said he gonna flip the script on them. Let's look in Revelation though. Let's bring back the memories and stuff we talked about during the summer. 12 and 16. I gotta switch books. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Elohim and have the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. Now I'm just reading that there because in the book of Daniel, it tells you something in the book of Daniel. It tells you that the beast would make war with the Kadeshim and overtake them. Because this is what your enemies look for for the chance to overtake you and to destroy you. That's why he say, come out of her, my people, lest you be partakers of her plagues, because her sins have reached unto Shamahim. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell y'all something, man. Literally with the nations, and like I told you before, anybody who go against the word of Elohim is an enemy to your father and should be an enemy of yours. Which means they're your adversary. They are against you because you know you either got to be hot or cold. You can't be lukewarm. There is no in-between with Yahuah. There's no in-between. There's no in-between. Now, when we talk about on a nation level, remember he told you that you'll be hated by all nations for his name's sake. That's the same thing you sitting back looking at when you read in Esther, that we were being hated for the name of Yahuah because of his law, because of his word, because his word made us peculiar and different from the people that were around us. And they sat back and seen the execution of this decree would allow them to overtake and kill us as they had sought. But if you remember what it says in 1 Kings chapter 8, when you watch and guard the word and you are attentive unto it, that he say, if you go into captivity and you make a prayer unto me unto this place, hear that prayer and maintain the cause of your people and show compassion on them before the people who have led them captive, that they may return back unto this place. We will see if that will happen. Luke chapter 1, verse 67. And his father Zacharias was filled with the Ruach HaKodesh and prophesied, saying, Baruch be Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, for he hath visited and redeemed his people. And we're going to look and see that in Esther, how he visited and he redeemed his people. And have raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant Daud. And as he spake by the mouth of his Kadesh prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all them that hate us, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers, to remember his Kadesh covenant, the oath which he sware to our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear. See, I'm going to tell y'all something, right? And it hasn't got to that point yet, where that for us to serve our Elohim, we would be in a fearful place because, see, ain't nobody killing you for doing this yet. And I keep warning y'all about this here because I want you to be prepared for it, because it's going to be an ugly thing to sit back and realize your mama might kill you because of the word. Your daddy might do it. Your brother might do it. Your sister might do it. Your grandma might do it. A cousin, an uncle, an auntie. Because when it come down to it, when it come down to the come down, and they look at their life versus yours, and that they hate your Elohim and don't serve him like you do, they're not going to remember that you're blood. They're not going to recall how long you've been friends. They're not going to remember any of that. And you need to keep that in the back of your mind. Because that man told you don't put your trust in a guide nor trust in a friend. Because he said every brother will utterly supplant. And if the master has already told you that your own kinsman would turn on you for him, you need to understand and know that, and understand that your people are sinners, whether they be friends or whether they be family or whether they be co-workers, but they have nothing to restrain their behavior. They have nothing that they hope towards, and that their desire is going to go where the wind blows because they are not built upon a rock. Therefore, whatever man says, that's what they're going to do. And if to save their life means to take out my brother or my son or my grandson, you a dead nigga. You know what I'm saying? You need to understand that. If them people kick in doors and say, will you serve the dragon or will you serve the living Elohim? And do you know anyone who serve him? They not going, when they think about getting their head chopped off, they think about going to jail, they ain't going to be like, well, that's my son, I ain't going to do that. They're not going to care.
Hey, leave it alone, boy. Leave it alone.
You know they say the number one, quote unquote, the number one law in universal law is self-preservation. No, survival of the fittest is just those who rise. That's evolution. You know what I'm saying? They say self-preservation. And when that day comes, people going to seek to save themselves. They're not seeking to save nobody else. Not everybody going to do it. There's some people going to sit back and they going to get murked You know what I'm saying? They don't be like, hey man, my people keep the word. I don't believe in that, but hey, I'm not going to turn them in. But some people, if they see a couple heads in some baskets, a couple niggas get tortured, that nigga Johnny around the corner. I'm just telling you this because your master warned you of this. Don't think those were idle warnings. Because everything is smooth right now in these days and times that we're not dealing with those type of things. Don't take that as an idle warning. It's real. It's going to happen. He said that we might be delivered from our enemies and all those that hate us. And there was something in my head while I said that. I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, Psalms 144. You know, every now and then, man, when you make your supplication, you know, you might want to slide these words on in there, you know, every now and then. Slide them on in. You might want to slide them on in. Psalms 144, verse 11. Rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speak vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. Who's the right hand of Yah, right? Then we read that, to whom is arm. That's a Mashiach. So if their right hand is a right hand of falsehood, then who is the right hand of the heathen or these strange children? The devil, Satan, because he's a liar and the father of it. Basically, their gods are idols, and the God they serve is Satan, which also takes you back to Revelation because they'll be serving Satan. And remember, he said they would call on their Elohim 1/3, and he said, Yahuah is my Elohim, and he will say they are my people. Because you're going to be seeking to be rid from the hand of strange people. You sit back and you look at Esther, they up under strange people, they following, they up under authority of King Xerxes. Xerxes worship whatever. Strange children. Their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. Their right hand is Satan. Oh, you want to see where his right hand at? We'll show you this here. Revelation chapter 2. Revelation chapter 2 is at verse 14. Verse 12. But I'll read you verse 11. Revelation 2 and 11. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Ruach saith unto the synagogues. He that overcomes shall not be hurt of the second death. Y'all need to realize that and understand that. Hell will not touch you if you can overcome. Hamashiach told you, be of good cheer, he's overcome the world. Who is he that overcome the world? But he that believed that Yahushua is the son of Elohim. This is the victory, even our faith. And to the Malachim of the synagogue in Pergamos write, these things saith he which hath a sharp sword with two edges. I know thy works, and where thou dwell, and even where Satan's seat is. And thou hold fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days where Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwell. Any of y'all know where Satan dwell? Any of y'all know where Satan's seat is? Where his seat is. Well, when he say where Satan dwell, he was referring to his seat, though. Y'all know where Satan's seat is? Would anybody know where Pergamos is? Pergamos. Well, Satan's seat is classified as being in Turkey. That's where Pergamos is. Modern day Turkey. Modern day Turkey. So if Satan got a seat, that means he got a throne, right? So who's sitting at Satan's right hand then? The beast. And what was the beast coming to do? To deceive with lies. Just like Haman was coming with lies. Trying to sit at Xerxes' right hand. See, you got to understand that because this man trying to copy everything in Shamahim. That's all he's trying to do. You just read, you can see what Satan's seat is, because if Satan got a seat, it means Satan got a throne. And he said their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. Rid us from these people. I'm telling you, like, every now and then, slide that on in, rid me from the hand of these strange people, man. They teach vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. I surely would like to get away from them. I don't know how y'all feel. A martyr is somebody who is killed for the word or killed for a cause. Some people call Pac a martyr. Some people, Malcolm X is a better.
Like a faithful servant, pretty much.
No, Malcolm X is an example of a martyr is somebody who's killed for a cause that's bigger than himself. Like Malcolm X is a better example in modern day times for us as a martyr. People call Pac a martyr, but Malcolm X was a martyr. Martin Luther King was a martyr. Medgar Evers was a martyr. Huey Newton was a martyr. Fred Hampton was a martyr. These men were killed for a cause. Yeah, and just like he sat back, Antipas was a faithful martyr. He was faithful to Elohim even unto death. Stephen is a martyr. Hamashiach was a martyr. John the Baptist was a martyr. That's why I be telling y'all this stuff, that you might be martyred. You need to understand and know that, and you need to remain faithful unto death, because these people may kill you. Like, I have no shame in telling you, like, I know that 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to be murdered for the things that I say. I don't say that stuff for shock value. I say that because I honestly believe that that's probably going to happen. I've been resigned that I would probably die a violent death since I was about 15, 16 years old. That's about the time that I resigned in my mind that I would probably live a life of complete solitude. Because most people don't want to deal. Who wants to sit back and be with somebody who's telling them, I may get killed and you might get killed with me? You know what I'm saying? Nigga, we used to bump a song by Biggie, like, you know what I'm saying, back in the day, and nigga would want a chick like that. Like, yeah, man, we hope that we would die together, that we get murked together at the same time. But a lot of people, they ain't trying to, nigga, a lot of men ain't trying to get murked with you, much less a woman. Though I will say this here, man, it's a lot, in these days of time, it's a lot more women got more heart than some of these niggas, though. Some of these niggas act like they got on panty liners. You know what I'm saying? Tea bags. And they got a box of Always with wings. I'm for real though. I'm not trying to be funny. Like, it's a lot of dudes that have very strong feminine characteristics, and they haven't girded their loins up like a man and showed themselves strong to be a man. This is why you have so many women feel like we ought to stand up to preach the word, because the men are not holding their position. Just because the men ain't doing what they supposed to do don't mean you supposed to stand up and take their place. Yasharal ain't never did that. You better sit back and wait till he raised up faithful men for a time like this. But they say, well, what about Esther? Esther wasn't teaching anybody. Esther was put in a position that pulled somebody's ear, that Yah could use that woman to influence this man's thinking, that therefore his people would be spared. And because of her righteousness and her faith and her trust in her Elohim, not in King Xerxes, these people were spared. Because that woman was even willing to risk her own life. That I'm going to go step to the king contrary to the law, and if I die, I die. That means she had heart. She ain't see it. Because her trust was in her Elohim. I don't see this nigga. If he kill me, he kill me. But I'm going to holler at him though. Because my people life on the line. And my people life is more important than my life. That's going above and beyond the call of duty. That's going past your reasonable service of keeping the commandments, because she was willing to risk her life for her people. You know what I'm saying? She was willing to risk her life for her people. That's why they say, greater love have no man than this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. She was willing to lay her life down for her friends, her brothers, her sisters, her mothers, her daughters. That's what she was willing to do. It's a lot of dudes, they ain't willing to do that. I know some niggas right now, boy, it'll go down, boy, they'll leave their wife and their kids right there where they standing at and let them get killed to save their own life. And the reason why I say I know niggas will do it, because I watch niggas' behavior right now. You ain't solid and faithful right now, so I know you'll dip out on your people, because I see the hoe in you. And other people see it too. All you got to do is look how people react in pressure situations, and you sit back and you see if they solid or not. When we say whole meaning soft or weak, not like literally a woman. You know what I'm saying? You soft, you weak. You don't have the strength of Elohim in your heart to be able to endure all things. The strength of Elohim will allow you to face. Why you think them people were willing to face Haman and Xerxes and all them Persians? Because of their strength and their hope in Elohim. That's why they were willing to face them. Who was that, man? Back to Esther chapter 9. Like I'm telling you, I'm just being honest. Like when I say certain things, like these things that I done resigned in my mind, like young, like fit, ain't even thinking about no word. I'll never get it as long as I live, man. I don't know what we were talking about, but we was out there in the little breezeway, man. That Inglewood High School, man. Jimmy Hill, he a musician. His daddy was a real big time Christian artist. You know, he done passed on now, though. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, his brother, both of them actually, they perform, you know, they go on the road with Fantasia. They do beats for Tank. You know what I'm saying? Like, they do their thing, and they're expert musicians. They're fantastic at what they do. You know what I'm saying? But it was something that he said to me one day, man. I never forgot it. We weren't even talking about the word. He said, boy, you a prophet. I laughed at it. I thought it was funny. You know what I'm saying? But I knew at that age, because me and my homeboys used to sit back and talk about it. Like, we had at age, we like, you know what, man? We probably gonna die. Because we was on some different type of time. We just wasn't on the word. We were discussing things that most 16-year-old just ain't talking about. And was on certain things that most 16-year-old just ain't on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you know what? I know these people gonna kill me one day. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have to do what they have to do. Because when I was young, nigga, I wasn't on that I wasn't on that Martin Luther King stuff, man. That nigga didn't move. That nigga didn't do it for me. You know what I'm saying? We coming up, nigga, we looking at Malcolm, we looking at Khalid Muhammad, we looking at Huey Newton, we looking at them cats, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we want to be like them cats. We feeling them cats. Them some real niggas, you know what I'm saying? Niggas holding it down, them niggas soldiers. Niggas ain't all that. We shall overcome, holding hands, singing, let nigga bust you upside the head with a baseball bat. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't feeling that. You know what I'm saying? So nigga on something, you know what? Nigga willing to die, you know what I'm saying? Screw it. And here's a quote that Martin Luther King said that always resonated with me, that if a man don't have something to die for, then he already dead. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, shoot, man, if I got to die for my people, then screw it then. Nigga, we already poor. What difference does it make? What more can they do? Niggas in prison, niggas smoking rocks. You know what I'm saying? This is what you seeing. What difference does it make? Then I knew at that point, thinking like that, I'm like, yeah, boy, you gonna be dolo, man. Ain't nobody trying to latch on to that. Because nigga, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? So what? I don't know why niggas scared to die anyway. It ain't nothing but some sleep. That's all it is some sleep. What the nigga scared to go to sleep for? But then it's the same token like a song, man. Styles P was like, you know, they say death is eternal sleep, but the only thing is we don't know if we're ready for the bed. And that's what we really talking about, if that you giving strict attention to the word and you guarding it and you circumspect and you control your passions and your emotions and you allow the word to dictate your thoughts and behavior, then you can be ready for that bed. Therefore, that bed won't scare you. You can't kill somebody that's ready to die. You can't kill somebody that's already dead. You can't put fear in the heart of a man who fears God. Since I said that, Psalms 27. (27:1). Notice that Esther, they wasn't afraid. Them people wasn't afraid of the king. You seen Esther say, if I perish, I perish. I don't fear this nigga. For what? Who is he? That's how all our minds and hearts supposed to be. What you fear a man for? What can he do to you? All he can do is kill the body. After that, he ain't got nothing else he can do. But your Elohim can kill your body and cast your soul into hell. But we don't fear that. That's why it's in the hearts of sons of men to do evil. That's why it's easy for niggas to go sin. That's why it's easy for niggas to pull junkie stunts. Yahuah is my light and my salvation. whom shall I fear? Yahuah is the strength of my life. Whom shall I be afraid? You know, perfect love casts out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love. Your faith in Elohim is not made complete and whole and sound, and the covenant of shalom is made, and you fear people. He has not given us the ruach of fear, but of a sound mind. And if a sound mind, it means you have self-control. You have calmness in your spirit. You have an understanding that surpasses all shalom, because this man's word rests in your heart and you trust in him. Esther chapter 9. See, and you know what happened? And guess what, right? And this goes along to the premise of what we're talking about. See, Esther and Mordecai and all them people, see, they were ready. So they were already ready. They didn't have to get ready, because they were already ready. Because they were already guarding the man's word. And they were already mindful of the man's word. And they were already watching. And that's what we're supposed to be doing in this captivity that we're in right now. The same thing they did. Because the same way these people sitting back talking about they plotting to murk them in Esther chapter 4 or Esther chapter 3, these white folks sitting over here plotting to kill you in America for the same cause. And they sitting there plotting to kill you in Europe for the same cause. And they plotting to kill you in Africa for the same cause. And they plotting to kill you in Central South America for the same cause. And they plotting to kill you in East and Southernmost Asia for the same cause. Because when that time come to run up, like we read in Revelation 12, that they wroth with that woman and they'll go to war with the remnant of her seed because she keep the commandments of Elohim and had a testimony of Yahushua, then you be hated by all nations for his name's sake. And they wroth. And they wroth. Like I say, man, I ain't gonna say before I knew Yahuah, let me rephrase that. Before Yahuah made himself known unto me, I was already ready to die. I already knew I was going to die. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm knowing you're going to die. These people going to kill you, man. Man, when I used to be in prison, them niggas used to tell me, man, you keep talking like that, there, and the cracker going to kill you. And I'm like, they going to have to earn it, too. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't finna lay there and let them kill me. I'm going to at least try to fight back. It might be 15 of them. They might stomp me till I got boot prints in my head like they did that boy in Central Florida on death row about 10, 15 years ago. But they going to have to do it, though. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the reasons why I tell you, I be like, okay, I believe I'm going to be dolo, because my wife got to be a soldier. She got to be ready to die, too. She got to already have it and all. She got to think like Esther think. If I perish, I perish. But niggas, what's happening, though? Man, I know there's a lot of dudes ain't thinking like that, man. I see these niggas folding for Newports, man. Telling on niggas. You know what I'm saying? These niggas telling on niggas for a bag of McDonald's. Man, these niggas telling on niggas just to tell. I remember my homeboy used to trick me out. That nigga say, boy, you catch a nigga, boy. That nigga say, boy, that's what these niggas from the beach do. That nigga say, you put one cuff on and be like, hold on. That nigga over there. We already talked about this with a tailbearer, man. Y'all don't rock with no snitches. That's what a dude talking about who came up with stop snitching at the law. No, y'all told you to tell on a nigga if he's sinning. Nigga, that's totally different thing, nigga. You know what I'm saying? They sure don't. They say that nigga sinning, you supposed to put him out there. He say they don't have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. He say, but that which make life manifest, reprove it, correct him. Telling me wrong. Nigga, you can't be doing that stuff you doing, boy. Nigga, you wrong. Nigga don't even want to do that, so you going to hell. See, when we talk about stop snitching this, nigga, that's criminal lifestyle. Criminals don't tell on other criminals. So guess what? Sinners don't tell on other sinners, so they doing what they supposed to be doing. That's the code of the street. A criminal don't snitch on another criminal, so you know a sinner ain't gonna snitch on another sinner. That's how you know them niggas ain't righteous, because they ain't telling it. Hey man, I'm just am I lying though? Guess what? A righteous man gonna let that be known. You seen them righteous people grab that nigga picking up them sticks. That nigga out here picking up sticks. You better get that nigga. You just seen that when we looked at that watchman. Oh, I'm going to rebuke you about that word. Now, I'm going to tell you what the word said. We're going to reprove you for your sin now. I ain't got to sit back and say, Johnny, you been masturbating. I ain't going to do all that. If you've been doing it, that word gonna come and he gonna tell you, shoot, boy, that nigga sure did hit me just then. Boy, how that nigga know what I was doing that? Like, but I'm just saying that because of that video we were looking at. You watching porn, big fella? That's funny though. The dude is funny. You know what I'm saying? That nigga say, he talking about I'm watching the praise team. That nigga say, you ain't watching no praise team. Carl really said he was watching the praise team. Just got out the shower. Said, nah, big fella. He said, the only thing you praising is your pt2, the big fella. But you got niggas that know niggas do sour stuff, bro, and ain't gonna say nothing. Because that's what sinners do. Sinners protect their own. Let the dead bury the dead. Ain't that what the master said? Follow suit. Now, I'm going to sit back and tell you, right? If I see a nigga kill a nigga, I let him know, boy, you done sinned and you going to hell if you don't repent. The police come talking about, am I going to testify? Absolutely not. That's not my obligation. My obligation is to reprove him of his sin, not help you put him in prison. I'm not going to help you put him in prison. I definitely reprove him of his sin. You definitely are a murderer, sir. You are definitely worthy of death, and you ought to burn in hell. May Yah forgive you for the thought and intent of your heart which you just executed this day. You talking about, we need you to come downtown and give a statement? Wait for it. We need you to do a deposition? Wait for it. And then when they talk about you're not going to get on the stand, I don't take oaths, sir. I'm good. Because you want me to swear or affirm. I don't do that. That cancels me from stepping in your courtroom to testifying against anyone. I'm not helping you put nobody in prison. That ain't my job. You know what I'm saying? Because I come from that there. I'm not finna help you in your investigation. But I will reprove this man of his iniquity. I have no problem with that. Nigga, I come visit him and tell him, you know what you did, boy. You going to hell. You better repent. I don't know if you're going to be able to get up out on these streets again, but I sure hope you get a chance to get your heart right while you behind these walls for the next 25, 30 years. I'm for real, I'm not helping police send nobody nowhere. I don't care who don't like it. You know what I'm saying? I was not a civilian. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling them, I'm not going to pick up the phone and call the police and be like, these boys out here shooting at people. Somebody else will call them. It's only one thing, boy, I'm going to go ahead and send a nigga up under the boat for. And that's anything, any criminal going to send a nigga up under the boat for. Touching children. And raping women. You touch women and children, cuz we ain't got no sympathy for you. Go on here. Yeah, that nigga right around the corner. Let me know when you need me to holler at you. Matter of fact, do y'all do chemical or physical castration? Because that's what that nigga need. I'm saying, bro, I got sisters. You know what I'm saying? I got an older sister. I got a baby sister. She got 3 daughters. I got a cousin. We were raised together. I don't play that stuff with that type of stuff. I ain't on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on that. I know niggas who mamas took physical abuse. Niggas not on that. You know what I'm saying? I know women who been raped. You know what I'm saying? That's not. I'm talking about not just no women, like these were my good friends and they were raped. You know what I'm saying? I know a woman who I came up with, a nigga didn't want to be, she didn't want to be with a nigga no more, so he shot her. On school grounds, nigga, we weren't grown. She still got the bullet in her breast to this day. You know what I'm saying? I'm not big on that. It's a lot of other things I'm not big on without the word. I'm not big on niggas cheating on their old ladies. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never did that. I ain't never seen that. Everybody in my family was married. You know what I'm saying? I don't respect that. That's without the word. You know what I'm saying? You bring the word into play. For me, that's unfaithful. See, I look at certain stuff people do, and if I see you can't be a faithful friend or a faithful spouse, I know you can't be faithful to y'all. Because if you can't be faithful to a person that you can see, you definitely can't be faithful to somebody you can't see. That's impossible. That's what I would mean when I'm telling y'all, like, how you hang with niggas that talk down on your friends. How you hang with niggas that talk, you not a faithful friend. No faithful friend finna sit there and listen you talk down on nobody. And they know you hang. Because that's what I'm telling you, that's what niggas do. If a nigga know that you hang with a person, bro, and they go to talking bad about them, they want to see what you gonna do, because they want to see what type of nigga you, they want to see if you flaw like them. And I'm not finna hang with a nigga who I know go to a Islamic temple or a ski temple or a Christian church or wherever, and he disrespecting my Elohim and my Savior, and I'm finna hang with this nigga? I'm trying to unify with this nigga? Oh, no. Oh, no. Not I said the cat. Esther chapter 9. I'm not on that. I don't feel that. I don't care who don't like it. If a nigga say it ain't love, then it's a love I don't want to have then. But my Elohim say he don't have no fellowship with the throne of iniquity. So what I'm gonna do it for? He say he hate wickedness and love righteousness. So what I'm joined to it for? Because when he come back through, he ain't gonna be able to make the difference. You hand in hand with the wicked, clown. I'm not going away unpunished. That's what the book say. 9 and 2, man. Esther. You can wrap it up, man. It's 11 o'clock. The Yahudym gathered themselves together in the cities throughout all the provinces of King Xerxes to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people. And all the rulers of the provinces and the lieutenants and the deputies and the officers of the king helped the Yahudym, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. See, that's the same thing when they tell you in Zechariah 8 and 23, they say, boy, every people out of every nation gonna grab the skirt of him that's a Yahudym and say, we going with you. We heard Elohim was with you. Because when Hamashiach come through here, these people gonna be terrified. And that fear gonna fall on them. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out through all the provinces, for this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Thus the Yahudym smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them. Now let's look at something. Deuteronomy 7 and 9, and then Revelation chapter 19. Deuteronomy 7 and 9. And then Revelation. But notice he said they came through with the stroke of a sword and laid slaughter and destruction to everybody who hated us. This is what I mean to tell you about. Why would you roll with people who hate your Elohim when he gonna stand up and defend you against the people that hate and talk down on you? Verse 10 is what we want. And he repay them that hate him to their face and destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hate him. He will repay him to his face. Revelation chapter 19. Still holding Esther 9. Let's speed this on up so we can slide on up out of here. Revelation 19 and 11. I ain't understand what I come up talking about some old viruses, nigga. I'm not paying you people. Tell your mammy to pay for it. And I saw Shamahim open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Elohim. And the armies which were in Shamahim followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and that he should rule them with a rod of iron. And he tread the winepress of the fierceness of the wrath of the Almighty Elohim. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Master of Masters. Now it said that he stroked these people with a sword to all those that hate him. When he's coming through the judge to make war, it's to judge this to all the people who hate him. The people who hate him are the people who despise his word. Because remember what he said? He was rejected and despised of men. He was hated of men. Why was he hated of men? Because of who he was and who he served and how he lived. Why will you be hated by all nations for his name's sake? Because you keep the commandments of Elohim and the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. You believe and you obey. You serve him in Ruach and in truth. You real and they not. Because Elohim determined, if you walk and dwell in the living Elohim, then you can't be nothing but be a real person. Or real niggas we say around our parts. You can't be nothing other than that. If you do not walk and dwell in the living Elohim, then you a fake nigga. You a fake person. There's nothing real about you. You're not authentic, because you're going to walk around and profess beliefs that you don't actually hold, that you don't actually keep, that you don't actually apply. Majority of our people who scream to be Hebrews and servants of the living Elohim are fake as a $3 bill. Ain't nothing real about him. Because your Elohim is a man of his word. That means his people ought to be man. Now let me clarify what I just said too. Do we know that at times people will commit transgressions? Yes, that may occur. But at the point that it occurs is, do they confess their transgressions with a humble and contrite heart and through godly sorrow never commit them again? Or do they make excuses or seek justifications for their iniquity instead of humbling themselves before Elohim and confessing that sin and tossing it away from them as a menstruous rag, as he said in the prophets? Because that's how you're supposed to look at sin. Of course, as a man, ain't none of us have to physically deal with that. But I know that the women sit back and they physically, they're not too keen on that. But he literally says that, if I'm not mistaken, it's either in the prophet Jeremiah or the prophet Ezekiel, where he said that you will look at it as a menstruous rag and say, get thee hence. That you would toss that away from you. That's how you ought to look at iniquity. Ain't nobody finna walk around with a menstruous rag in their hand. But yet we walk around with menstruous rags in our heart daily, full of uncleanliness and vileness and death. Don't make no sense. Where we at, Esther chapter 9? Let's read drop down verse 11. He's just going to talk about the places where they killed people. They killed a lot of people too. On that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan the palace was brought before the king. The king said unto Esther the queen, the Yahudym have slain and destroyed 500 men in the Shushan palace, and the 10 sons of Haman, whom they have done, what have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now what is thy petition, and it shall be granted to thee, or what is thy request further, and it shall be done? Does not the father hearken to everything the son asks for? Well, ain't that something, right? Because I haven't went into it in the furthest details we possibly could. And we getting late, so we got to wind it down. But check it, right? They fasted and prayed and wept, right? Hamashiach fasted when he afflicted himself on the stake. We dealt with that on Day of Atonement a time or two. He wept. He prayed. The Epistle of Hebrews in the 5th chapter say he was heard and that he feared. And that he granted his petition and his request. You don't think that the master would make a petition and request to come back and to avenge us all when he said they constantly come unto me? Saying, avenge me of my adversary, avenge me of my adversary. And he said, I will avenge them speedily. Do you not realize, we didn't read all through, do you not realize Esther came to the king and said, will you avenge me of my adversaries? And the star got avenged. And they went through amongst the heathen and all the people who sought to do you harm, and they slaughtered them. Because when we will sit back and look at Purim is a holiday of, a feast day of your ancestor was supposed to be killed, but instead Yahuah killed all your enemies. Blood was spilled. Lots of blood. The winepress and the fierceness of the wrath of the Almighty was tread upon these people because they sought to do you harm. Which goes back to what he told you in Chronicles, touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. Don't touch my people. He told you that in Jeremiah. They are the apple of my eye. Don't touch my people. And that's no different for you individually. If you belong to Yahuah, don't touch my people. I will come see you. He told you it's better that a millstone be hanged from someone's neck that they offend one of the little ones who believe in him. But don't you know if you are born again that you are a little one in his eyesight? And I'm gonna sit back and tell you, right? If you belong to him from the foundation of the world, and a nigga do you wrong, he's still coming to see these niggas. He gonna come see them, one, because of what they did. Then he coming to see you because you touched one of mine. Some of y'all got children in here. You know how you feel if somebody touched one of your children. They got to see you. Well, that's how Yahuah feel by his children. You touch one of mine, you got to see me. And that goes for Abarim's first. And also to the Goy, to the Yahudym first, and also to the Gentile. He coming to see you. Touch one of his if you want to. But a lot of brothers don't have no fear on touching his people, putting their mouth on his people, doing no manner of evil towards those that belong to him. And he does that so they can store up coals of fire upon their head in the day of judgment, that he may give them a due reward according to their works. That's why you take it with patience and just smile and thank Yahuah that you were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. Where we at? Verse 13. Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Yahudym which are at Shushan to do tomorrow also according unto this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. And the king commanded it so, and the decree was given at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Yahudym that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan, but on the prey they laid not their hand. But the other Yahudym that were the king's provinces gathered themselves together, and stood for their lives, and rested from their enemies, and slew of their foes 75,000. But they laid not their hands on them. So not in Shushan, but in the other provinces, your ancestors killed 75,000 people. And what they talking about killing people just in the palace? Y'all let them go through and murk son. He let them come through and murk son. All because they offended his people. All because they offended his people. That's why you don't roll with people who disrespect your God. That's why. That's why you sit back and look at, if you were enemy of my Elohim, you're an enemy of mine. Because this is what he would do for you. 17. And on the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th day of the same, rested they, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Yahudym that were at Shushan assembled on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Those that were in Shushan feasted for 3 days. Therefore the Yahudym of the villages that dwelt in unwalled towns, listen what he said, in unwalled towns. I'm going to show you what this means when he talking about dwelling in unwalled towns. Made the 14th day of the month of Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, sending portions one to another. When he say unwalled towns, what y'all think about when he say these are unwalled towns? Unwalled towns. The word unwalled here is an open region, an unwalled village, or an open country, or a town without walls. Let's look at Ezekiel 38. Ezekiel 38 and 10. Make it 38 and 8. After many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years, and thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Yasharah, which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. This is talking about Hamashiach coming back and delivering you from the enemies, which you read in Revelation 19. This is him saving you from your enemies. Then shall ascend and come like a storm, and there shall be a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thus saith Yahuah Elohim, it shall come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, and I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, neither having bars nor gates. Do you know of a place that they told you wouldn't have no bars or no gates? Just look, exactly. Look at Isaiah 60.
Isaiah.
60 and 17. Notice that there was no more violence left in Shushan. They were resting. He gave them rest from their enemies. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. And I will make thy officers shalom, and thy exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more light by day, neither brightness shall the noon give light unto thee. And Yahuah shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy Elohim thy esteem. I think it was a little over what I wanted. He tell you this also in Revelation, there'll be no walls or no gates in the city. Because they would need, because you know the walls and the gates were for, it was for protection. There's no need for to be protected when Elohim is with you. He will be with you. Let's look at Revelation 20 and 7. And this verse 7 is Isaiah 24 and 23. I think we went over it before, but I'm just letting you know if you didn't know. And when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. And he shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is the sand of the sea. And they went up from the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the Kadeshim about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from Elohim out of Shamahim and devoured them. Now, I didn't read the verse where he said that he would do this in Ezekiel. It's there though. He devoured your enemies so you could be at rest in his because you are defenseless. You understand what I'm telling you? Unwalled villages. Because Yahuah is your protection. He is your stay. And that's what you need to look at when you see that in that unwalled village. That's what you need to understand. He's the one who protects you. He's the one who guides you. He's the one that keeps you from danger. That's the chapter 9. We're in verse 20. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Yahudym that were in the province of King Xerxes, both nigh and far, to establish among them that they should keep the 14th day of the month of Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly, as the days wherein the Yahudym rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor. Now he said that you should send gifts to the poor. And this is where we'll probably end up concluding this particular thing right here. He said he turned it from sorrow to joy, right? And that they got portions to send gifts to the poor. Now what y'all think this means when he's sitting back talking about sending gifts to the poor? When you look at gifts to the poor, that's somebody, the word is Evan. And it's somebody who's want and needy, subject to oppression and abuse, needing help or deliverance from trouble, or generally referred to as the lowest class. Now, we already kind of spoke about this. So like I said, we're going to sit back and stop. So let's look at Isaiah 61 and 1. Listen what he tell you. Did he say he just turned sorrow into joy and mourning into gladness? Let me show you that, and then we're going to pause. And we're going to show you where Mashiach got crucified, that he fulfilled Purim, and that's why you ought to keep it. And even at the token of, even though it was in the 12th month versus the first month, it still went down as a day that got turned from on the 14th day. Same way. The Ruach of Yahuah Elohim is upon me, because Yahuah have anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent to me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahuah and the day of vengeance of our Elohim, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes and the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the Ruach of heaviness, that they might be called the trees of righteousness, the planting of Yahuah, that he may be esteemed. So when you sit back and you look at this, right? Then he say the day that where sorrow got turned to joy and mourning got turned to gladness. Then gifts were given to the poor of those that are want or in need. So let's look at something in Acts chapter 10, because he say those that are poor suffer from oppression. Acts chapter 10, verse 38. How Elohim anointed Yahushua of Nazareth, the Ruach HaKodesh, with power, and who went about doing good, healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for Elohim is with him. Now remember, he said, he that commits sin is the servant of sin, and the Son shall make you free indeed. You're being oppressed by the devil. So now we need to look at something. When did this day go from being torn to sorrow, to gladness, and from mourning into joy? Well, then all you need to look at Luke 24 and about verse 15 when he said, what manner of communications are these that ye are sad? He said, have you not heard what happened in Jerusalem and what happened to Yahushua HaMashiach? How he went about doing good, and he was a mighty in word and deed, and a prophet of Elohim, and they slew him, and they were sad. Once he manifested himself that he had resurrected from the dead, then he gave them beauty for ashes. He gave them joy for sorrow and gladness for mourning, because they were sorrowful. Now we will look at how he gave gifts unto men. 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Because remember, right, we already talked about how they cast lots for his body, right? For his clothing. Showing you this was Purim, because that's what that Purim means, cast lots. Yep, chapter 12. Verse 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. You know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led. Wherefore I give you to understand that no man speak by the Ruach of Elohim called Yahushua accursed, and that no man can say that Yahushua is master but by the Ruach HaKodesh. Now there are diversity of gifts, but the same Ruach. And there are differences of administrations, but the same master. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same Elohim which work all in all. But the manifestation of the Ruach is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given by the Ruach the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Ruach, to another faith by the same Ruach, to another the gifts of healing by the same Ruach, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of Ruach, to another diverse kinds of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues. And also, we know gifts of the Ruach is what? Ephesians chapter 4, and we'll stop it right there. So when you see he giving gifts to the poor, that's giving gifts to the people who were needy and oppressed or crushed by the devil, who needed deliverance. And we also know, hold on, we'll stop at Romans 6 and 23 after this Ephesians 4. 4 and 7. But unto every one of us is given favor according to the measure of the gift of Mashiach. Wherefore he saith, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it that also he descended first into the lower parts of the Iraqs? He that descended is the same that also ascended up far above all Shamahim, that he might fill all things. So when Hamashiach resurrects from the dead and then goes up on high, he shows you the fulfilling of Purim, because he gave gifts unto men. Because he gave them the Ruach. But the main gift is right here in Romans 6 and 23. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of Elohim is eternal life through Yahushua HaMashiach our Master. And that's the gift that he gave on Purim by his resurrection, to fulfill Purim, to show that Purim is a feast that we ought to keep because your Master's testimony is in it. But hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. We will stop it right there. Appreciate everybody this evening. Love everybody. Bless everybody out the house. Y'all, you know, tomorrow about 2:30, we'll crank it up. But as for now, we'll let y'all roll, man, because it's about 11:30.